Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reggae Boys Commentary. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As you can see, we have a very, very special guest joining us, and it's none other than our very, very good friend, somebody that I'm privileged to actually call my friend, and having so much different exploits that he's had on different continents of the globe. And it's great to have a sit down and chat to see here how his project is going, amongst many other things in relation to football. So we have Andrew Edwards joining us. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Hey Simon, good evening. I seem to be having some camera issues here. I don't know why I'm not seeing myself coming up. You seen me?
I don't see you, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with my camera.
You're using your laptop or a phone?
Laptop.
Laptop. All right. What we can do, you can try that video call again and let me see if I can guide you through the process. But I can hear you great, which is good. That's a step in
Yeah.
the right direction.
All
So
right.
so you can do the video call again. Let me just buzz you and let me see. But it should be something working well.
Hold on, let.
All right. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, so you can put it on the screen now. All right. All right. The next thing now should be able to refresh the page. Wait, it says at the bottom there. At the bottom there, it says anything about camera beside the microphone. Yeah, beside unmute, you should see something about camera beside it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Right. Thanks very much for your patience, folks. Really, really like it. Coach is probably full. Restart big coach and one of the best analysts in Jamaica. KY, big up, big up, big up. Hope you're doing well. Really, really. That's good. Yeah, this should work well. Hopefully this works. Hopefully this should work now. We'll have the coach and be able to chat a little bit. This should be okay now. If he uses his phone, then the thing can work. All right, so we have coach with us now. This is great. Evening, how you doing, bossy?
I'm very good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
And big up to viewers and listeners out there.
yeah, man. Thank you for your patience. I really, really appreciate it. I know sometimes this can be quite tedious, but always I really, really appreciate your time. And I know what it's like with a phone. Sometimes it buzz and sometimes messages come through. So we can do like a part one this evening and do like a part two. We can decide on a day next week that is more feasible with you. But firstly, how's the family? All the best for the new year and everything.
Thank you very much for asking. Family is all good. Actually, I'm in the bedroom right now because the kids outside doing the homework and them on the gadget and stuff. So I don't want to get no disturbance, you know. But we're all good and we give thanks. And I would like to extend same greetings and well wishes to you and your family as well. Big up mommy, my good friend. So,
Yeah, it's definitely. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. So, coach, firstly, you know, 2022 for you, would you say that you were able to accomplish, you know, the objectives that you set out? You returned to the island, you know, there was success, you know, as it relates to the schoolboy football season. For you personally, would you say that you've ticked off the boxes or most of the boxes that you wanted?
you know, truth be told, Simon, I'm not one of those type of persons who actually um, have those kinds of New Year's resolution and goals and stuff. I think
Mm,
you know, as my circumstances changes, I adjust my goals and my objectives, and I, you know, try to make the best of the situation. But to give a direct answer,
mm,
I think it is fair to say that you know, coming back home from the Turks and Caicos Islands, 2022, also a year coming out of the pandemic, was a pretty good year for me. Didn't quite hit the heights that we would have expected, but all in all, I think it was a really good year, a year of great success, and most importantly, one in which we didn't have any major illnesses or you know fallout. I mean, the one I don't want to say bad thing, but
mhm.
the one thing on the downside, so to speak, my grandmother passed away on the 8th of January last year, and we had to lay her to rest in February. So you know, that would have been the downside, and that of course would have had some other spiraling effects. But life goes on, and we coping individually and collectively with the loss of the matriarch. But otherwise, Genesis is back up and running. We started back in March 2022, and where we started at a new location because we were previously at Manchester High School, and just since the start of January, we are now located at Brooks Park in Mandeville, and hopefully that will be our home for the foreseeable future.
Yes, and you know, speaking about firstly condolences to you and the family based on that experience you shared. I just was doing the math in my head. I think Genesis was 2016, so it's 7 years now. Have you been able to process, you know, the 7 year growth and being able to look at how time has just gone by so quickly where Genesis is concerned?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. 7 years is really an amazing journey, to be quite honest. We started, I think, the very first day, January 9, 2016. I think we had either 11 or 13 kids, but that picture is up on my Facebook page. It's actually the cover picture on the Facebook page. Um, and since then, in 2018, 2019, I think we got a maximum number of about 130 some kids across 5 age groups. We never actually had all of them at a single session, thank God. But we would have maxed out at about 48 kids at training at any one time. Um, we started the Genesis Cup in 2017, which was our second year. And when we had that tournament the first year, we had 22 teams participating. The second year, we had 44 teams participating. And I remember Courtney Campbell, former FIFA referee, coming and observing and remarking that he couldn't believe that he would have lived long enough to see something like that in Jamaica, because he only thought that was possibly in America, you know, what we did at Manchester High School. We actually had some drone shots of it, a really, really nice picture. Big festival, one day, 44 teams. I think we had 3 or 4 categories, a competition. It was really amazing. In 2019, I was away in the Turks and Caicos, and my wife and the other members of the board were able to stage it again successfully. I think we scaled it back a little bit based on feedback and, of course, our internal human resource capacity to deliver properly. Then the pandemic struck, and we would have lost a lot of grounds through the pandemic. 2 years where we were unable to function effectively, and that is one of the reasons why we relocated from Manchester High School as well. Also, part of it was down to our growth strategy, because when we were at Manchester High School, we were restricted to Saturday trainings only, and we knew that that would not have been enough. So we wanted to move away from that and start some midweek sessions. So we were fortunate enough to get access to the Clarkstown Battersea Community Center. We were able to do trainings up to the end of last year. And that was really good for us. Lost quite a few of our kids. Quite a few of them went over to Redemption Sports Club. And that was largely due to the fact that we were unable to operate, but also because parents wanted something different, and we respect that. We appreciate the part that we were allowed to play in the development of those kids' life. And we still have good cordial relations with the kids and the families, of course. In terms of where Genesis has moved since then, last year we were able to complete the draft of our 10-year strategic development plan, which will take us up to 2032. One of those areas for us was the expansion into women's football. And thanks to Neo Oxford and the Reynolds family, we were able to have our first all-girls team compete in a tournament back in December, the Reynolds Shield. It was a great experience for us, and quite frankly, I was very surprised and overawed by the effort and commitment of the girls and the performance too. We tried to put that team together in about 5 weeks with just one session each week. To see what the girls were able to accomplish winning one of the 4 games we played was just amazing. And it's not even just about the result, but more so about the kind of effort and the fact that you could see little details of things that you're trying to teach them coming out in the game. It was just really impressive. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, one of those young ladies is now representing the Mile Gully women's team in the Premier League. Oh. So that's a big thing for us. We do have a good number of girls in the organization now. We're still looking to grow that area. Last year as well, we participated in quite a few tournaments. I can't quite remember all of them offhand right now. Mm-hmm. And we hosted our own tournament as well. We didn't do the Genesis Cup. We started a new tournament called the Spring Cup or Spring Tournament. Mm-hmm. That was a huge success for us. And we continue to look to grow the organization in different ways. Just to, in terms of the long-term development plan, we are hoping that somewhere down the road, in about 5 years' time, we'll be able to own our own space and develop it the way we envision it, and continue to contribute to the development of the young people of this region.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful experience, Coach. How much has, being a teacher helped you in terms of being a coach, because persons really undervalue how much having certain qualifications do in helping you in your craft. So for you personally, being a teacher for almost 3 decades, I think 25 years quite recently. So how much has that helped you in your craft today with football?
It's an interesting question, I like to say that some years ago, I don't quite remember the circumstances, but I actually did a bit of research on the origin of the words teaching and coaching. And it is interesting that the word coaching actually supersedes the word teaching. And from personal experience, there is very little difference. As a matter of fact, I would go as far as to say that the only difference is that one generally takes place inside a classroom and the other one generally takes place outside on a field.
Right.
So they're really, because just like how a classroom teacher has to plan his or her lesson, it's the same way coaches should plan their lessons. The same way you have to provide evaluation, the same way you have to test players, you test students, you test players. The same way you have to accept the fact that students in the classroom have different learning abilities and learning capacities. Same way you have to do the same thing on the field of play. Now, to the other part of your comment, which is the fact that qualifications help coaching. I am an educator at heart. I am a teacher in the classroom. I've been a coach educator from 2013. And I have had pretty good experience and exposure teaching both kids and adults alike. And I feel very, very comfortable and assured saying that the better coaches are the ones that put some time into studying their craft. All right. I think if you look at the highest level of the game, every single coach that I have come across from Europe, South America, North America, Asia, all of them are college graduates. And I know there are a few who are not. All right, so don't get it wrong. But these guys study physical education, sports science, sports medicine, something related to sports. And the way they function has a lot to do with the quality and level of their education. They are better organized, they plan better, they execute better, they understand psychology, they understand models of training, methods of training. You know, it's just how to build a team. And when I say build a team, I'm not talking about players, I'm talking about the support staff, you know, how to manage all of that. Because if you realize in the English game, for example, they don't call them coaches, they call them managers for the most part. And there's a reason for that. Because even with our new dispensation of courses in CONCACAF now, you find that CONCACAF has 3 main pillars for coach education: management, leadership, and oh gosh, I can't quite remember the third one right now. But bottom line is that you have to learn to lead yourself and lead others. And you have to be able to manage the football environment. The football environment, even if you listen to Pep Guardiola's interview this evening, he's talking about wanting to win back his fans. They are a big part of the football environment. And the best coaches recognize that you have to be able to win the fans, have them in your corner, have them supporting your vision, have them energizing the team, etc., supporting the team through their dollar spend, and so on. So it's not it's not a coincidence that these guys are so good at what they do. You know, they are well learned, they are well studied, and the majority of them that I have personally had the opportunity to meet or to study, they are pretty much students of the game or students of life. You know, some of them read a book almost, they are constantly reading psychology, reading management, reading leadership. You know, and I find in Jamaica that's not a big part of what we do, you know, as a people. And I remember when I came back from Germany in 2014, I did an interview. I don't remember if it was on radio or TV. And I made the comment that, you know, I hope that one day we'll get to a place in Jamaica where all the coaches are college graduates. And I was taken to task on air and also in private about it, you know, and I make no bones about it. I have little patience and tolerance for people who want to continue this narrative that football is not a game that requires any measure of brilliance and that you don't need to be bright to play football and all of that. You know, my friend Oral Tracy and I had a conversation sometime ago on the radio, and it stirred a debate for a long period of time, you know, about bright and dunce and all of that kind of thing. And, you know, I am not in agreement with a lot of things that he had to say, simply because I don't believe that bright is restricted to academic brilliance. And yes, I understand that that is culturally how we have been socialized to see things. But as you say, as a classroom teacher in my 28th year, basically, and a coach for over 20 years, there's no way on earth I can subscribe to that kind of reasoning, you know. But we have to get to a place where we help our players, our coaches, to appreciate the value of education. And we're not talking about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 CXCs and distinctions and all of those kinds of things. We're talking about the respect and the attitude towards learning and acquiring knowledge, new knowledge, and to recognize the benefit of being able to reason at a higher level, to receive information and manipulate that information to produce different results, you know. So that's a kind of a private dream of mine, that one day we'll get to that place, you know.
Yeah, very, very sobering thoughts to ponder upon. Being on the island, coach, does it feel like you're back home just yet? I know you were in Turks for a couple of years, but does it feel like you're back home now? Sometimes when you're in another environment, you settle, you acclimatize, and you're settled. Does that feel that way for you as yet?
No, man, I'm fully back home. In fact, I don't think I could ever say that I was never home. You know, meaning that physically I wasn't here, but my heart and soul is here. You know, my kids, my wife, they're here, and they were never with me in the Turks and Caicos. That was a big part of the challenge for me. When I was 13 years old, my brothers and I, my mom has 3 boys. I'm the first. So we grew up very close. And I remember at 13 years old, it was a Friday night. We were lying in the bed, and in those days we actually slept on one bed. And we were just talking, and I remember saying to them that, come what may, I'm never gonna have kids that don't know who their father is and who is not having the benefit of having their father around. And I say that with no ill will towards my father, but my father was not there for me as a child, and it had an effect, and not so good effect, of course. So that was a commitment I made to myself at 13 years old. So even when I'm not at home, my heart and soul is here. And when I was in the Turks and Caicos, I used to use Zoom and other platforms to help the kids to do their homework same way and stuff. So, my big son is away in Florida, and don't talk as much as now as we used to, but we make an effort to make sure that relationship is there and it is solid,
Yeah. And you're also in tune with what was happening on the island as well. You were indulging in the media as well, in terms of listening to the radio or the television to know what was happening on the island, news-wise, sports-wise.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So I guess basically you never left. So this this opportunity that you had, in terms of schoolboy football, in terms of the position that you had, was it an opportunity that you embraced immediately, or you also had some time to think about it, being in Kingston versus out of Kingston? Is it something that you took some time to process, being at Kingston College?
Well, everything you take as much time as you think you need to review and to decide, But the beauty about the Kingston College opportunity is that I was not, and I'm still not, the head coach of the team. So that it meant that I did not need to be there every single day. I didn't have to be involved with the day-to-day nitty-gritty kind of thing. And that was quite okay for me. Having gotten that 1 year under the belt and seen what is possible and what the environment is like, I think we are now at a place where we can really step in and facilitate some greater levels of growth and development for all parties involved in the football environment. We have some meetings to happen soon, hopefully, and out of those meetings, it will give us some clarity about exactly how we're going to move forward. And of course, that I hope will redound to my being more physically present, but not necessarily hands-on in terms of coaching the teams or anything like that, but just physically present to give the coaches more support, more guidance, more leadership, etc.
Okay, I fully get what you mean. Being here now, coach, have you had an opportunity to mingle with the new national head coach of the senior team, or part some advice to Meron Gordon from the under-17 perspective based on the experiences you've had?
All right, so I haven't had an opportunity to meet Coach Al Grimson as yet. Hopefully that will happen sooner than later. Meron and I spoke quite a few times before he started the selection process. After he did selection and going into camp, we had some very healthy discussions. We haven't spoken in a minute. I don't know to what extent anything that I said would have been useful or helpful, because we haven't had those conversations. But Meron and I has always been very good friends from my time at States, and I think the respect goes both ways naturally. And so, you know, I respect his judgment and the work that he does. And I would assume always, you know, with pretty good confidence that, you know, he values whatever I have to share. And I don't share anything with him or anyone for that matter with the expectation that they must do what I say or what I have done, you know, because I have to respect and accept that they are their own coaches, they have their own vision, their own philosophies, etc. And so they have to take responsibility for the way they want things to happen, you know. But I'm always very happy to share, so much so that while I was technical director in the Turks and Caicos Islands, FIFA and CONCACAF both facilitate quite a bit of training and education for technical directors, you know, and you have the opportunity to interact almost every single week with technical directors and other technical leaders in FIFA all over the world. One of the two things I want to share real quickly. One of the sessions that we did, this was a CONCACAF project. Excuse me. We had a presenter from Finland, and what I remember more than anything else from the presentation is that he kept on talking about learning to share and sharing to learn, you know, and that resonated with me because I think that's kind of just who I am by nature. But I would never have crafted things that way. And then I would have, through my mentor, my FIFA mentor, who incidentally is a Caribbean man in terms of his background. So his mother is from right here in Manchester, Knockpatrick, and his father is Trinidadian. So he always wear one of them pendants with the Jamaican Trinidadian flag on it. His name is Jones, you know, Jonah Jones. Yeah, so he gave me some pretty good connections, and one of those connections was Tony Taylor, who was the head of scouting for Manchester United. And we had some training for the coaches in Turks and Caicos, which of course I extended to a few of the colleagues here in Jamaica as well. Out of that training, Tony invited us into a WhatsApp group that he has called Ask the Coach. It's an international WhatsApp group, and in that group, coaches from all over the world, all continents of the world, share information freely, you know, ask questions. Sometimes some of the questions you probably look at and say, oh, could a coach be asking that? But then when you see the level of responses, it really excites you to think that, you know, literally there are no foolish questions, you know, there are no sometimes you can ask a question even if you think you already have the answer, just so that you can get feedback from different sources, different places, to heighten your understanding, to give you different dimensions to view things from. So I took those two situations and I decided I would create a WhatsApp group similarly for Jamaica. I call it Coach Development Jamaica. And that was formed in May 2021. Right? So we're going into our second year now. And that group currently has about 132 coaches. Not all of them domiciled in Jamaica, but all of them with ties to Jamaica, and all of them, as far as I am concerned, well-wishers of Jamaican football. And I say that simply because one of our most recent additions is actually not Jamaican by birth or heritage, but as Jamaican by loving Jamaica and working with other Jamaicans. He works with Leyton Orient. Really cool guy. And when I met him first and was telling him about these things, he just said, Coach, I want to be a part of that. I want to share some of what I do so that Jamaican coaches can benefit from it. As I say, it's going 2 years now, and I'm happy that we are still alive, to be quite honest, as I wasn't sure that we would survive this long based on how we generally are. Still not where I would like it to be, but fortunately there's some level of interaction on a regular basis. And from time to time, people will reach out to me privately and say, boy, Coach, you know, thank you so much for doing this. And, you know, we really appreciate that. Still want to see interaction get much better, but it's a step in the right direction. And in fact, at the start of the year, I wrote a message to the group, you know, sharing some objectives for this year in terms of how we can help each other to become better coaches, how we can support each other in becoming better coaches. So hopefully we'll see that materializing and becoming reality pretty soon.
For you, Coach, in terms of, you know, the talent that we have on the island coaching wise, what would you see would be that next step to get to that level in particular? Is it about the coaching education from the CONCACAF workshops? Is it about getting to the qualifications from a, well, it looks like Coach went. I'm not sure what happened to Coach there, but let's see what happens. Let's see what happened to Coach as well. Maybe his battery died, but it was really, really riveting, this conversation. Looked like it dropped, but you know, that happens. The gremlins are with us, one of those things, but Coach should be back with us now. All right, Coach.
Sincerest of apologies, everyone.
That's fine. That's all right. Yeah, we'll wrap up quite shortly, Coach. Just wanted to know from you, someone that is, you know, aspiring to be better at their coaching, because from time to time, JFF may have a level 1 or a level 2, and then CONCACAF has something. How does somebody, you know, stay in tune so that they can continue learning their craft like you, and, you know, the opportunities that present itself, for example, do a 4-week course overseas so that they can improve their coaching credentials? Because, you know, you look at our national coach, you know, Hallgrimsson in Iceland, which is much smaller than Jamaica in population, has over 500 UEFA licensed coaches. So it's about, you know, getting to a next level. So what can we do to ensure that we can make a transition from where we are right now so that the coaches are more qualified and experienced at the same time?
All right, so I take a number of things from what you just said. You know, some of what you're asking is really and truly for the coaching education department at the JFF to really respond to. But in terms of how I see things, I think we definitely need to have more courses and more frequency of courses. I know there are some challenges why it's not being done at the moment. So I don't want anybody to be thinking that, oh, JFF not doing as much as they should. If there's one criticism I would have is that, you know, someone like myself has not been invited to be a part of the coaching education department. And it's not because I feel I should be there, but it's more because I think I can add value, and because I think I'm a resource not being used, you know. But for whatever reason, that is not, it's it's what it is. Yeah. So we want to have more courses for sure. But one thing I need to say here on that is that courses alone is not all that there is in education, you know, and we can have all the certification we need and we still struggle to get to certain places. One of the things that I am hoping will happen is exchanges, you know, internships, apprenticeship, whatever is the correct terminology, I really don't know. But I have explored this in the past and I know it is possible, you know, for any number of coaches, you know, to go to Mexico for a period of time, Costa Rica, the USA, Germany, Spain, Sweden, and I call in places where I know I have connections that I could tap into, you know, England for sure, Wales, you know, Africa, you know. So I think we need to be able to send people into these places for different periods of time, to be attached to a club, to be attached with an academy, to attach with a youth team. Another thing I think is we need to have our coaches going to tournaments, especially youth tournaments. So just to observe and make notes. I really don't think that staying inside of Jamaica is adequate for the kind of development that I envision, you know what I mean? I don't see the reason why we can't, let's say, spend $2,000 US dollars to send a coach to go to the Gautier Cup. Just to observe, make notes, and come back and present for the rest of us. Send another coach to Italia Cup or Irish Cup or whatever the cup's name, right? The Youth World Cup. Even, you understand?
Yeah.
We have the Gold Cup coming along. I know when Coach Schaefer was here, it was one of his ambitions to have the youth coaches as a part of the team at the Gold Cup, right? It never happened, but I think it can and should happen, because if we really serious and committed to the development of the football, then we have to be committed to the growth and development of our coaches. And courses alone is not sufficient, right? I dare say that I have learned a lot much more about football outside of courses than I have actually learned in courses. You know, what courses do is provide you with the opportunity and the situations to get your license. But just like driving a motor car, I learned to drive a motor car long before I had a license. You understand? And it's not the license that drive. It's really your ability to understand how to use the road properly, learn the road code and all of these kinds of things, and to recognize that there are other users of the road who sometimes are reckless or careless, and someone who are using the road properly. So to me, it's not different for coaches. We want coaches to go over to Mexico and be a part of Club Azul for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, come back, you know, and have different experiences. I remember some years ago when I used to write my articles in with the Observer, I made a proposal that, you know, that ISA, with all of the sponsorship that they have, and at the time it was the PLCA, look to send away 2 to 4 coaches from those 2 bodies each year. And it don't have to always be the winning coaches. It can be the most progressive coach. It can be the coach who has shown the greatest development. You know, whatever the criteria is, we can fix the criteria. So Davian Ferguson at Chase, who's almost always winning, or Lenny Hyde at Clarendon College, who's almost always winning, are not the only people to benefit from something like that in schoolboy football. That is, you know, and in the Premier League, you have different winners from time to time. So there are different ways to do it. But I think that's something that we should really, really explore. And I know some of the coaches I mentioned that are in that WhatsApp group we talked about earlier would be more than happy to welcome some of our local coaches in their environment and give them the opportunity to be educated. And I know 1 or 2 of them have taken their own resources and time to do some of this as well.
Yeah. Wow. Food for thought there. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. And let's keep, it's great to hear from you.
Yeah, man. Thanks very much again for the opportunity. Always a pleasure to, chat with you. We are like brothers from way back when, and for me, any opportunity I have to share what I know, what I think, that might one day create a positive influence or impact somewhere, I'm just extremely happy to be able to do that.
Really, really appreciate it. All right, then have a good day.
Yeah, man. Every time. Blessed love. All right, take care, time.
Cool. All right. There are guys. Andrew Edwards giving an insight. This is only part one, but you'll definitely hear more from him in the future. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Reggae Boys Commentary for more content. This video is brought to you by MPEC Printery, specializing in t-shirt printing, posters, and shipping from the USA. Call 876-775-6692 or 876-337-7374. Andy Gone Nuts, 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. And Crumble by Mrs. C. Old English fudge and other delectable sweet treats. Call or WhatsApp 876-586-0471. That's 876-586-0471. This video is also brought to you by BLC Jamaica Security Electronics, specializing in alarm system, video surveillance, camera system or CCTV, barrier system, gate automation, and access control. Call 876-320-7711. That's 876-320-7711 or 876-351-1105. That's 876-351-1105.